Yeah. How would you describe the life of an entrepreneur?
Not half pregnant. That's how I think about it. I think it's a game of edges. The highs are enormously high and the lows are enormously low. So it's not safe. It's uncomfortable. It's always on. If you're truly an entrepreneur, if it's really yours, you know, I've never articulated it this way, but what just came to mind is, if you know somebody who's a parent, if you go talk to an 88-year-old parent, what I think she or he will say to you is, you're always a parent. You know, that 88-year-old will look at you and tell you that they're worried about their 67-year-old child. And I think that anybody who's watching right now, who's not an entrepreneur, but has children, especially if those children are over the age of 20, can really understand what it is to be an entrepreneur, which is, you're always the last line of defense, it's always on you, and it's forever until you're dead.
Is it lonely?
Unbelievably lonely, which is great for me because I, believe it or not, am unbelievably comfortable with 5,000 people in an audience and 50 people around me as I am sitting by myself. As a matter of fact, on this trip, I requested to have some flights by myself because I'm in some really thoughtful mode and I want it. I like being lonely. I enjoy it. And in my own head, I'm the loneliest. And I think that that is a strength of mine, not a weakness.
Is it worth it then?
Hell yes. For me, I don't know any different. I do not believe it's worth it for the majority of people who are watching, who are now aspiring to be entrepreneurs because they are the current cool thing.
Well, it's important to know that, isn't it? That it's not for everyone.
No, not only is it not for everyone, it's actually not for most. The math is very clear. You know, 9 out of 10 people fail in their entrepreneurial venture. 9 out of 10 people never even try. We're talking about a very small group of people who have the ability to sustain their livelihood predicated on their own ability to drive their own business. It's really interesting how you set it up, and you set it up perfectly in my opinion. We are currently in the golden era of entrepreneurship. Everybody wants to be one. It's actually not for most people. Now, on the flip side, let me go contrary. The internet allows for the first time a lot of people to actually be one practically. It's that it's lonely. It's not that you can't do it. The people that are watching right now, I believe they can do it. I believe they can make $1 million, 100,000, forget $1 million, 100,000 a year selling, you know, a bikini they made on Instagram. I don't think most people are inherently good at the pressure that comes along with it. Which is year 1, it's 100,000, year 2, it's 400,000. Year 3, it's 200,000 because Instagram changed its algorithm and new competitors have come in. And oh, by the way, they screwed up because going from 100,000 to 400,000, they got fancy and they bought a too expensive car and a second apartment. And now that it's 200,000, the whole thing breaks. But now they're known as successful and they can't deal with the scarlet letter of everybody's judgment that they have to take a step back and sell that apartment. That's the problem. Got it?
Got it.
Hey, why did you leave? So it's a family business. You grew it. It's $60 million. It's, you know, going nicely. 10x the whole situation or 20x the whole situation. So why did you leave? And
on some real shit, three main reasons. Resentment. My brother's 11 years younger than me, and I love my pops. Let me break them down for you. Because you guys go deep here, I'm going to give it to you. Shit that I don't usually talk about.
Yeah.
You work 15 hours a day, including Saturdays, because you're in the retail business, from 22 to 32 years old. No fun, no trips, work 15 hours a day. Real shit now, not like fucking like propaganda where people acting like they're working. In the store, 8 a.m. Leave the store, 10 p.m. In the store, 7 a.m. Leave the store, 11 p.m. For fucking 10 years, and you take it from 3.8 million to 60, and you have no real money like that, and now you're married and you've got a little bit of that, right? You start being fucked up a little.
Yeah.
Got it? I'm just talking real with you. I was like, yo, I was a kid. Now listen, the reason I wasn't really fucked up and it was okay was I wanted that. I wanted to pay my parents back. I knew I was fucking great. I knew it. I knew what's going on with me right now. And on the record shit, I haven't even started. No, I'm being really honest with you guys. Like you're gonna look at this video, and in 13 years you're gonna be like, damn, he really wasn't even like in the same universe. Like I mean it. I really feel like I'm just starting. I'm patient. I know life is long. I have wisdom. I hung out with old grandparents all the time as a kid, and I never understood why. And now I understand. I'm an old soul. I was patient. I knew I could give up my 20s for my parents, feel good about that, feel like I really put them on because they put me on. Be like, settle that bet, you know what I mean?
Now we
good.
Now we eat. Really, I was a little bit like that. I needed it for me, but I really love my parents on some real shit. They're the best. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to get mine regardless. Let me really do something here. But now, after a decade, I started getting into that little place of like, number two, my brother's 11 years younger than me. My parents were 20 when they had me, like that old Russia shit, like, so my brother was coming up and he didn't want to work with my dad. My dad's a tough, like my dad's a different kind of personality, old school, and he didn't want to be about that. And so I wanted to jam with him. I've been teaching him entrepreneurship since he was a kid, eBay, garage sales, all that shit that people know about me. So I really wanted to jam with him. So we kind of decided somewhere around his senior high school, freshman year of college, like we're going to do this. So that was in the back of my mind. And, I left when he graduated. He graduated in May of 2009 and I left, started VaynerMedia. But I was doing both. I was doing Wine Library and VaynerMedia from 2009 to 2011. And then number three, I love my dad. Let me explain. My dad was one of the guys. He was one of the 10, 15 guys in the liquor business in Jersey. He had one of the good stores doing $4 million in a liquor store. And in the 80s, that's real money. It's a different day, different age. There was no major players. Liquor business is fragmented. You don't have Walmarts and shit like that. So he was a guy. He was one of the guys. He was one of the people that could throw around some clout. He was one of the bigger buyers. And he loved it. I came along and took that shit to the fucking moon. So I became the guy. And so now all of a sudden, you see where I'm going, right? Now all the suppliers, all people, all of a sudden my dad lost his clout.
Yeah.
And my dad, and I wasn't about sharing it either, because I took the wheel and was like, no, one person can drive. So like go in the passenger seat. I love you, Dad. You're still my dad. And you could always call that once in a blue moon dad card and make me do something I don't want to do. But 98% of the time I'm driving. And the first year that I did the business, he was renovating and decided to build a new house for him and my mom. He loves construction, so they built a new house. And that first year we went from 4 to 10 million. And he kind of looked, he's like, fuck, 23, right?
I love you, Gary.
And so he was like, I love you, but fuck, I'm not going to mess with this next year, 17. And he's like, okay, I got something. And so, but what that did was I was willing to do it for him, but I was going to take the shine. I was going to have the leverage. I was going to be the guy. And I loved my dad, and we were starting to have conflict. It was pretty cool for the first 8 or 9 years, little things, but now we were starting to have consistent conflict. I had my resentment up. I'd become real famous in the liquor business, the guy, and nobody gave a shit about my dad. And I saw the pain in his eyes and it hurt me because I love my dad. And people forgot about his part. He came to America with no language. He came to America with no money. He came to America and took all the risk and what he did from zero to what he did. I know I'm going to the tippy top of all time, and I'm still going to always admire what he did from zero to that spot, right? And I have my own zero story, but it's different, and he's my dad. And so it just felt like the right time, if that makes sense. Parents need to make sure their kids are happy. If we all collectively actually gave a crap about the happiness of our children, it would fix itself. Unfortunately, we care more about the judgment of our contemporaries about what our children are accomplishing more than caring about our children. This is an issue of modern day parenting and insecurity and keeping up with the Joneses, not a school system problem.
Caring what other people think.
It is the devastation of our society.
Yeah, because so many people watching this will be like, no, you need a university degree. You need that to fall back on.
Fall back on what?
Yeah.
Every company's not requiring a degree to get hired anyway. The greatest companies in the world, Amazon, Google, are no longer requiring a degree anyway. So what are you falling back on? Now, that's like saying you need to keep a horse on hand in case the car doesn't work. It's ludicrous.
It is ludicrous.
It is ludicrous.
Yeah.
And it's completely predicated on the framework that the parent grew up with, and more importantly, the judgment that their parents are putting on them, or how they want to keep up with everybody else. Because the people that they eat dinner with at the country club on Sunday night, their daughter's going to the big university, and it's just ludicrous. It is sad. I'm a byproduct of parents that were strong enough to not care about what other people thought, which is why I'm happy. And I would like to use what the gift my parents gave to me as something that I communicate to the world, hopefully inspiring one parent to give that gift to their child.
Yeah, what do you say to that entrepreneur, that young entrepreneur at school, hating school, wanting to leave school, but has to stay at school? What do you say to them?
Enjoy the vacation, because you're gonna work the rest of your life. 2, don't be a hypocrite. If you're such a tough guy or gal, stop taking mommy and daddy's money. If you're such an entrepreneur, go buy your own iPhone. Start practicing now. The quicker a child gets off a parent's payroll, the more likely they will be happy in life.
I like that.
Me too, because it's funny, I gave this talk at USC and it was parents and kids, and it was a really funny talk because depending on my answers, one of the two of them would be thrilled. These parents, stop crapping on millennials, you're the ones who parents them. Everyone's like, hey, the kids. Kids, get off the payroll. If you're such a tough guy, don't let your parents pay for your sneakers, your iPhones, and your Uber. Parents would clap. And I was watching this audience, and the reality is, there's 2 sides to every story. And I talk a lot about putting pressure on modern day parenting, and kids flood in, they're like, yeah, Garyvee, you got my back. And I'm like, stop taking mommy's money. And they're like, wait a minute. Because if they want the new Jordans or the new Supremes, right? Or if they want a new car, all of a sudden entrepreneurship is not as cool.
You do it yourself.
They want entitlement.